Awesome. We are live. Hi, everybody. I am Barb, and welcome to episode 2 of Creators Campfire. If you joined us last week, then thank you and welcome back. Last week's podcast can now be found, hopefully, on almost all platforms, which is kind of a little crazy, but amazing. Check it out at anchor.fm/Creators Campfire. All the links will be there. If you are new here, then hello and welcome. This is a live streamed podcast where I interview all sorts of creative people, so entrepreneurs, content creators, side hustlers, aspiring talent, to find out more about what they do, why they do it, and how they do it. So I'm super excited about tonight's guest. He is an entrepreneur, author of best-selling book, Blow It Up, and podcaster. Guys, please welcome David Lowe. David, thank you so much for being on.
How's it going?
Oh, wow. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. It is 11:30 here in San Diego, California, and I'm amazingly excited to be on your podcast because it's actually this is the first UK kind of media and press that I've got, which is bizarre.
Wow. Okay, that's special.
I know. So I'm genuinely excited to be here, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. I am quite privileged. I did not know that. So yes, let's start there. You are from the UK, but you're actually over and based in America. How did that happen?
I was born in Blackpool in the northwest of England, and then I moved down to London for about 10 years. Learned a lot about kind of business, working for people, and then I thought I want to become an entrepreneur. And so I moved across to Austin, Texas in 2012 to launch my entrepreneurial career. And then in 2016, I moved across to San Diego. And so I'm here now doing another startup.
How scary was it just kind of picking up and moving all the way to America? Because that sounds quite scary.
At the time, how old was I? About 32. And so, yeah, I felt kind of safe in England, obviously. And although I traveled, I'd lived in Japan briefly, in Australia, but making like a big move, I was a little bit nervous at the time, but at the same time, it's America, so the Americans speak the same language and eat relatively comparable, similar food. So yeah, it was the transition was not too tough.
Yeah, I suppose if you've done Japan, America is quite easy.
Yeah.
So
I tried to learn Japanese over there. It was a nightmare. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How did it go?
Tough. Three different alphabets, I think it is. Because you got Chinese, the kanji interspersed with the hiragana and katakana. So it's 3 alphabets.
Oh, wow. And I think English is hard.
Exactly. Yeah. So my brain was stretched, almost a little bit too much while teaching English.
That's pretty impressive, though, to be fair. So was it just the American dream that kind of called you over there, or was there something specific? Was it that you wanted to be this entrepreneur? Yeah,
pretty much. I just thought, when I was about 13, I went to Orlando for the first time. And after kind of going through the honeymoon period and being Disney-fied, I thought the people are cool, and I could definitely, I always just thought, I could have a piece of the American dream, but that was where I could become a successful entrepreneur and just go over there as anybody, if you like, nobody, almost as a nobody, and become a somebody. And that was it. That was the seed was planted back then.
That's pretty cool. So you went over to America, but you didn't have anything specific in mind. You just knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Well, I had the idea for Uber Pong, which was my first startup, a custom ping pong paddle company, and I thought of that in a tech startup in London. And then I thought, well, where can I launch this if it was going to be in the States? So my wife's sister was living in Austin, Texas at the time, and she said, "This is a cool kind of young town, college town, as they call it over here, right, university city, and let's give it a go." And I visited and thought, this is a really cool city. We went to South by Southwest, which is their kind of big festival, and I thought this would be a good place to land and launch a business, and that's exactly what I did. Moved across.
Pretty cool. So the idea of Uberfun, for those that are listening and haven't heard of it, firstly, what is it?
It was a custom ping pong paddle company, and so taking table tennis rackets. What do you call them over there? Was it bats? Yeah, bats. That was it. Yeah, so taking table tennis bats, or ping pong paddles as they call them over here. So there's a little bit of a switch in the language, and started out putting graphic designer, like the artwork of graphic designers, onto the rubber on both sides, and that then developed into customizable ones. So you could put your face on one side, and then you put your boyfriend's face on the other, and it was that's kind of how it started gathering some momentum. And then of course all the kind of big brands and some TV channels were like, hey, we'll have these for our show, and it became like just a hot product, and got on, we got on national TV a few times with it.
Wow. So I've seen them, I've checked them out. I think they are such an amazing idea. It's so cool. And again, it's not something you kind of think of. You think of table tennis bats as just the normal thing, and like it never even occurred to me that this could be customizable. But what a great gift for someone who plays table tennis or just like is into that. I actually think I need to order some for some people, but no, amazing. I love that idea.
Thanks.
So you've got this idea in your head, you've moved over to the States. How does that go from just an idea in your head to then actually getting it out, having a product, selling it, and then where you ended up by, having all these people interested in it?
Well, the big sort of, I guess one of the most challenging phases as an entrepreneur is going from idea to execution. And so, I come up with the idea in the UK, and I thought, how am I going to launch this? And literally, it was a case of getting off the plane in 2012 in Austin, and thinking, how do I launch this? How do I get the capital? What platform, and so on. And I came across, just by being hanging around entrepreneurs over there, I came across a crowdfunding website called Kickstarter, and that had typically been used as a platform to help musicians and filmmakers get their projects launched. Excuse me. But I was seeing how kind of startup ideas and e-commerce ideas were getting approved to launch on there. And so I gave it a go and raised $10,000 in 30 days. And that was enough capital to launch the first version of the website. And so I didn't need to go to the banks, because the banks weren't lending post 2008 world recession.
Yes.
I didn't know any investors over there. I didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't get a loan from them.
Yeah.
But crowdfunding was almost that was the platform that helped me.
So did you know, so this £10,000 level, is that something you knew that you had to hit in order to put into production your idea? Or was it, so you'd worked it out and gone, actually, I need £10,000 to put this in, having done the work? Or is it just, a figure that was kind of thrown about?
I'd done the rough numbers, and I thought at about that level, we'd have enough to launch the website, to do the first production run, and maybe just get a little bit of press exposure. I just put a small marketing budget aside, but actually got to the point where the marketing was kind of like, grassroots bootstrapping marketing. And I just did it all myself. Kind of picked up the phone, got on emails, got on social media, and just said, hey, can you give us a shout out? Can you blog about it? Can you get in the newspaper? And really, I was kind of surprised actually at just how fast people just jumped on that and promoted it. And I was so grateful, because I didn't have that network. I didn't have all the press connections. It was just going cold. It's like cold calling. And then imagine every call, it's like, hey, you want to buy this, or you want to do it? Like, yeah, sure. Yeah. It never happens. But in this case, it was like, hey, do you want to talk about this? Can you help? Because I think it'd be good for your readers, for your listeners, and so on. And they're like, great, let's get it on.
Amazing. And did you have to, were you giving products out for free, or was it just actually, something, here's something I've got. Are you interested in, and, do you want to be involved?
It was, so with the media, it was pretty much, I'm a British guy who's just landed in Austin, kind of going after the American dream, want to talk about it. Yeah. And they were keen to do that. As far as products go, and it's kind of, this was just because I almost couldn't afford to do it. is I just didn't give any away. I didn't do what a lot of people do, which is just they got a marketing budget, right, and just frisbee all these table tennis bats to all the journalists and say, write about me, and then they'd have the shot and put that in the piece. But I didn't give any paddles away for free, because I was thinking it from a business sense and bottom line, and I just thought, I can't afford to do this. But then people started saying, on the back of the press, they then started saying, hey, can we have an order of, say, 50 to 100 paddles for this company or brand? And so that was kind of like the secondary wave of exposure almost.
That's pretty cool, to be fair, to not have to go into here's my stuff. It's like the product speaks for itself. And that's how you've got something, right? Is that you don't have to actually do any of that. It's like, here's a great product and people are picking it up and it's doing its talking for itself. Yeah.
It got on, I don't know if you know Extra TV over here, but it's a big national show with Mario Lopez is the host, and he was in Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
AC Slater, yeah.
Yes.
So you do know.
Okay. I grew up watching Saved by the Bell.
Yes, good show. Yeah. And so seeing that show in England and then seeing him holding one of my products on national TV was kind of bizarre, but very cool.
Yes.
And that was within 2 months of launching.
Wow, that sounds pretty awesome. And are you doing everything yourself then at this point? Because obviously, yeah, okay, that's so. Were you just working flat out at this point? Actually, something. I was just eating, sleeping, breathing, Oopapong.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the apartment complex that we were in Austin. I used the fairly small closet to store all of the table tennis bats and the rubber sheets, because I was doing it separately. So you print onto the rubber sheet, cut it, and then glue it onto the wood, and all of that at the Uberpong version 1 warehouse was my closet.
Brilliant.
And it absolutely reeked of rubber. My wife will never forgive me, but it reeked of rubber. It was like a really strong smell. So you'd literally put a shirt on and your mates would be like, why do you stink of rubber? It's like, Uber pong, ping pong, rubber. I have to explain it.
Very selfish question, because I've never really fully understood this. You have an idea. You have an idea. You've got this thing in your head. You're like, right, I know this is going to be great. I want to customize these paddles. How do you physically go from this is an idea into actually producing one and then producing more?
Well, the very first thought was go to China, because everybody goes to China, right? And I had come across Alibaba website to source products. And so it was really kind of going through there initially and getting a first batch and then working out if that was, if it was a good product. The thing with China, I'm not sure if you've ever dealt with them, but first of all, you got the time difference. That's like a big thing from Texas time to China. That's like 13 hours or something crazy. So you're getting on about midnight, 11 p.m. to midnight. And if you're on a long call, it could be 1 or 2. So quite a few long days. Yeah. And then, excuse me, you get a batch coming through and you'd literally have to sort through them. And there'd be, say, 5% that were just duds and you couldn't use them and you'd have to trash them and then ask for a refund. And then that's tough. And then, you got minimum order quantities that could be at, say, 1,000. And then the lead time, it could take like 45 days to get that by ship versus air, because it's cheaper to do it that way. So then again, you're learning about everything, like, supply chain, logistics, and so on. You very quickly, just by doing it, you're self-educating, and that's the best. That's just, for me, the best education, because you're learning on the job. Yeah, agreed. And do they? Are you asking them to do the printing for you then as well, or are you just buying in the product and then you have to then do the printing at like a printer's to piece it all together? Yeah, so I thought we have to be able to customize this kind of locally, and I had been experimenting with different printing techniques and came across the right technique, if you like, after literally just the rubber melting and just like complete nightmare, if you like, which I've documented all in my book, Blow It Up. Just a lot of funny stories in the beginning. And it's just experimenting, isn't it? You're like, keep saying, as entrepreneurs, we're business scientists. So it's just, it's like hypothesis, experiment, and just play around till you get it. And yeah, it was getting, like I said, getting the rubber sheets in, getting the wooden bats in, and then working out the printing technique, but then also the local printers who was gonna print that design onto the rubber, and then who was gonna cut that and glue it onto the wood. So it was kind of like quite a few steps to the process to just get one ping pong paddle at the end of it. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how complex that is.
Business scientist, I love that term. Okay, you've just touched on it, and there was a nice segue into the second part. So not only did you like kind of create Uberpong, but you've written a book about everything you've kind of been through and your kind of entrepreneurial findings and journey.
Can I drop it in really quickly? Is that rude? Or
do it, absolutely.
Because there you go.
Brilliant. Right. So there we go.
Because this I got the mic in the way, so it's there we go.
That's perfect. That's a great shot, guys. Blow it up.
One of the very first editions, which is why it's got the not for resale strip on it. In case you're wondering.
So 21 ways. Go on.
Sorry.
You're right. I was going to read it out for you. 21 ways your startup can shake up an industry and change the world, which is great because actually, so I need to order it because I need to read it. But it kind of guides you from right at the start. So it's literally your journey of Uberpong, right? It's from inception, the idea in your head, right to the end.
When you sit there and the light bulb goes off above, right about there, it goes ping. From that moment, right through to getting the legal stuff done and signing to say that I'm literally selling the company and handing it over, and like, let's just say the amount being transferred for that sale. That whole thing is in one book. Yep.
That is amazing. Yes, I need that book because it fascinates me how people, because I always have random ideas. I'm not saying they're any good at all, but I've always been fascinated by how it goes from that idea to actually putting that into production and implementation and getting something out there. So that is amazing. I will come back to your book in a second. I had one last question on Uberpong before I move on. Going in, not necessarily right at the point you had the idea, but quite early on, did you have an exit strategy, or did you have in mind that actually this was something I'm going to do to kind of move on? Or was it, something, either I'm not thinking about it at all, or actually this is just what I want to do?
I didn't know what an exit strategy was.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit happy-go-lucky. So I thought I'd land and just blow this up into this multi-trillion-dollar business because it's America. It's America. Of course it's going to happen.
The American dream.
And yeah, exactly. And so didn't have a clue. And then just through being around entrepreneurs and startup founders, you start learning the lingo, and you meet, I think I met a 3-team startup or something, and co-founders, and they were like, "Oh, have you got your exit strategy? What's that?" And then you learn about it, and then you kind of like, okay, so you've got to position it for sale in order to be able to sell it, rather than just kind of saying, "Want to buy this?" Almost kind of like, cash in hand kind of thing. So yeah, it was but that again, it was me just becoming more knowledgeable and educated.
Yeah, so I guess it's one of those things. It's learning on the job, right? You can sit there and you can do all the planning. I can go and read this book, right? And I can go, right, I can plan it to the nth degree. But until you do it, it's all just in your head and you're never going to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it was nice to go from launch it and kind of pretty much like, if anyone asks me what's the strategy, it's like literally see what happens. That was the technical term. See what happens.
Yeah.
And now kind of in everything I'm doing, it's way more calculated, and it's kind of like, what is the opportunity? What is the market opportunity and share and so on, demographics? How can we scale this? How can we pivot if we need to, all the bit more more structured, let's say.
Yeah. You've taken your learnings, you've gone on this journey, and you've gone, okay, well, that's how I did it the first time round. What can I learn off that? What can I tweak? And this is how I'll do it the next time round.
Yes. And you're kind of graduating from, let's say, solopreneur or sole founder, sole proprietor to co-founder or and team and so on, and thinking that if I can do all that on my own, what about if I team up with people who have a similar mindset? And so that's kind of where I'm at the moment with my next startup, Guardian Medical. And so there's four of us, there's four co-founders that are all bringing their knowledge base into this startup, and it's kind of how it's just a different model.
So you've gone from, so you've created this amazing product and this amazing company, and you've now sold it, and you've gone, okay, that was great, and I've got this huge learning from it, and I'm now ready to do something else. How do you decide, or how did you decide that Guardian Medical was your next thing? Or how did you find, those people? Did you know going in that you wanted to do it with a team this time? Or did you kind of go, actually, I'm going to start off solo, and it just happened to find kind of partners and co-founders for you?
Well, the steps that most, and I always kind of, I like to talk about this because it's showing that not every business is a hit. So going from Uberpong, I tried to get a little tech business going called Calogy, and Calogy was an allergy calendar. And so wherever you were in the US, you could, it was like geolocation, and you could find your city, and then it would give you the allergy forecast, like daily allergy forecast for that city. And then it would connect you to, let's say, medication and, products that would help alleviate those allergies. And so I tried to get that going. I launched it on Product Hunt, tried to get a bit of traction, and I just didn't get that off the ground. So that was kind of like the first, I'd gone from, like, let's say, big success to very quick failure. And so, it brought me down to earth. It sort of humbled me, and it was really the best thing. It's like, I know, easy to say now. At the time, I'm just,
yeah.
This isn't the American dream. This isn't supposed to happen. I want a refund.
Yeah. Right.
But that was the best thing that could happen to me in my entrepreneurial journey, and I learned a lot about that in a very short space of time. And then I looked at co-living, and so Quirky, QWERKY, Quirky co-living was like the next thing after that, and pushed that really hard for probably a good 2 years, and got very, very close to launch. Got the location in Tijuana over the border in Mexico, got the team, got the financing kind of all lined up, and then coronavirus hit. And so that's the co-living brand and Quirky is on hold.
Right.
It can still launch. Guardian Medical is obviously very, very well positioned at the moment with the PPE or personal protective equipment shortage in the US. So we're providing healthcare workers with the KN95, 3-layer masks, sanitizers, gloves, booties, everything, like to help, to help with the kind of coronavirus pandemic in the US, and to help make sure people are protected from right at the top, like healthcare workers, but right down to like small business owners, ride sharing companies. We're talking to ride sharing companies because they're making that a mandatory thing where riders and drivers have to wear masks. So that's like, good, obviously great market opportunity, but a great chance for us to change the world and help a lot of people.
So did that idea come out of coronavirus, or was it already something that was in your head and it just happened to be the right time?
It's just great timing. I was very lucky. So it was literally probably 2 years of an idea in my head and trying to get it to fruition, and that suddenly, like, the whole market just being flipped, and just it was like, stop doing what you're doing. And then just an opportunity came up with where I could join as a co-founder in a startup to just pivot, if you like, and just get into that. And so it was just a no-brainer. Like, the timing was great. And so, so we're flying with that at the moment. And hoping to, well, I say it's US only. It was initially, and we've expanded to be able to supply Canada and Mexico. And we're now talking kind of, about doing deals overseas.
That's amazing.
To help more people.
Yes, that's brilliant. So you've obviously made this really quick pivot. And this is something that was in your head already, and you were thinking, this is what I want to do, and the opportunity presented itself. Did you already know of the people that you were about to go in business with, or was it that you were kind of introduced at that time, or had you kind of all been talking anyway?
Excuse me. So I'd met them, I feel like about a month before. So again, just timing was excellent. And that was they were in lighting, so like a lighting solutions business. And obviously I was in co-leading, and I had just been introduced to one of the founders and had talked to them and got on really well and clicked. So it was nothing more really than just kind of just fellow founders and entrepreneurs just talking about like best business practice and so on. And can we help each other? Can we connect people to, other people in our network? And then suddenly coronavirus hit, and then it was like, hey, want to team up? Yeah. Want to form the A team?
Yeah. That's brilliant. Yes, you're right. That sounds like absolutely perfect timing with everything coming together there. Okay, so firstly, how do you find the time to do everything? Because I'm sitting here and I'll be honest, okay, partly because I'm lazy, but it's just, I feel sometimes that there aren't enough hours in the day. And obviously then I look at people like you who are juggling all these things. So not necessarily from a time management point of view, but just how do you kind of prioritize and get everything done that you need to do?
Well, it's a great question. And I think it comes up a lot, like time management, right? And productivity hacks. Like how can you kind of get in people's slipstream, if you like, and leverage off certain channels to accelerate your success or accelerate your, development almost. And I think I would say that it starts with mindset. Like that's been a big realization. Like I got a coach a while ago, and I've been working on my mindset and how to just strengthen that, so that will then allow me to be physically stronger, like mentally stronger, then physically stronger. Physically stronger, I can just do more and be more productive no longer without feeling like I feel like I'm going to die or burn out or something. So that's been big. Daily incantation, so reciting kind of your dreams and what way you want to be, and just keep saying that every single day, so you stay razor focused. And then cold showers. This is like a random thing to throw in there, but came across this Dutch guy called Wim Hof, and he swears by like taking cold showers every day. And of course, you take the first one, you like hop out and get the towel on, shivering away, like what is this guy thinking? And then and I've got to the point, you get to the point where it's like 5-10 minutes just and straight in, like you don't need to warm up and then cool it down. You go straight in freezing cold, and then you're in there for like 5-10 minutes. By doing that, you're boosting your immune system, you're boosting your circulation, you're reducing stress, anxiety, depression. Like if you have ever suffered from depression or any sort of mental health kind of issues, it really, really benefits you there, because it just kind of keeps that at bay. And because your immune system's getting boosted, and you just feel like that to start the day. Like I have to say, I tried it in England because I'd heard it from someone else. I was like, cold shower, and then England a lot of the times quite cold. Going outside in the cold after a cold shower, not a chance. But I've recently tried it again, and it's really benefiting me. It's just allowing me to stay more focused for longer periods, combined with meditation and binaural beats. Have you ever come across this?
No.
They'll get a really good pair of headphones, the cans.
Yeah.
Like noise cancelling ones.
Yeah.
And then find a binaural beats app. And what it is it'll send different what they called sine waves. So different like tones, like waves, going in one ear and the other. So it'll be kind of like you just got to check it out. Trust me.
Wow.
But it's essentially it's like sound therapy. That's the best way of describing it. Sound therapy, and you can
I'm more likely to try that than the cold showers. To be fair.
We'll start with binaural beats and then hop in the cold shower. But it's but essentially you can go on different frequencies depending how you're feeling to get that effect. So there's one called Euphoria, and I literally read the small text, and it said use this to feel happier, and I put it on thinking not a chance, and literally it's the weirdest thing, but you find yourself, it's like a forced smile, and you find yourself grinning. It's the weirdest sensation I've ever had. And so then of course I switched to another one, which was fatigue. So if you're fatigued, you listen to that frequency, and afterwards you're feeling just more, you kind of feel more fresh. So it's not as if you have to do a lot. You have to just lie there and put some headphones on, and it's almost as if it's like therapy. It's amazing.
Wow. Okay, I'm actually going to check this out.
Give it a shot.
Very, very intrigued. That sounds amazing.
So that's really helping me in conjunction with kind of working on my mindset and obviously trying to keep as fit as possible. I've been, it's not just me, the rest of the world can't go to the gym. So you got to come up with routines and push-ups and whatever else, sit-ups to just keep fit at home, which is, can be hard depending on where you are, but it just got to try and keep fit as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think you're right with mindset though. I think that's huge, right? It doesn't matter what you do. If you've got the wrong mindset, then you're never going to accomplish anything. You could try every hack under the sun, right? It all comes down to mindset.
Well, your mind can be, I think of it like this, it can be the biggest anchor for you, or it can be like, I don't know, the thing that catapults you, the catalyst to you being successful. And so I was like, when I started out as an entrepreneur, it was very much kind of like just balls to the wall, just go for it and just juggle and see what sticks, throw a lot of things and see what sticks. And I would say just, realizing that you've got to be mentally sound to kind of really have that as a foundation to be successful. That was a huge realization, probably like only 6 months ago. And so I've been I've been spending a lot of time working on that, and it's helping.
Awesome. So it kind of leads me on to my next question. If you could give yourself one piece of advice now to the you starting out on your journey, what would it be? And I guess I'm saying when the point at which you have this light bulb idea, what would you tell yourself looking back now?
I would say to, I guess have a bit more faith in myself and be more self-confident. So coming from England and not doing that great at school, there was always that was my anchor. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that was my mental anchor. So I always went back and referenced that, saying like I'd failed at school, and that was how do I, like, it would always mean that I was resonating at a lower level. And so I think just kind of getting rid of that anchor and just going for it and just being more self-confident. Now, the business helped me to get into that state of flow and state of mind, but it was the wrong way of doing it. It was kind of back to front.
Yeah. Okay, my next question is stolen, and it's stolen from Tim Ferriss. But
I love the fact that you said it's stolen. You've been that transparent. I like that. There's a lot of fakers out there going, "This is my line," and claiming it. And
not a chance. No, this is a Tim Ferriss question outright, but I really, really liked it. So if you could get a message out on like a giant billboard to as many people as possible, what would it be?
Oof. Well, it's a good stolen question.
Yeah. Thanks.
Jeez, and it just like a kind of mantra, sort of tag on the slogan.
I mean, I'll give you a sentence.
Blow it up.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Safe is risky is one. I like how short that is, and I don't know where I read that, but safe is risky is a good one because it's the idea like you've got the corporate handcuffs and the safety net, and our brain tells us to be safe, right? It always is survival. So it's survival instinct. So we're always being told right there inside our head that we have to be safe.
Yeah.
But safe is risky, I think is good. Just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Something else will come to me.
No, I like that. I think you're right. No, you don't need another one.
Think again.
Yeah, reject. No. That was I really like that, and I tell you what, I guess I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and you're right. We're kind of on this path because it's been what we're told. We go to school, we go to university, we go and get the safe job. It's like it's the path that we're all just. And obviously not everyone, but the majority is just what's laid out. It's what's expected. It's the norm. But actually, is that the best path? I guess I'm incredibly envious of you because you've gone down and you are living the American dream, which is amazing. And I would love to do that. And I am very risk averse. So I've gone down the safe path. But I am now sitting here and going, was that really the right thing? And I guess I'm only 30, I think. So I know that there is time, but at the end of the day, if I was to do it over again, I'm not sure I would take the safe path, so to speak. So actually,
you're taking a risk with this podcast, right? The live and the podcast.
I'm not.
So you're already taking risks. You're not even realizing it. Great. That's great.
Yeah, let's not call it a risk because I'll just quit, right? Yeah, no, I very much like that. Okay, right. I've got questions for you, but they're rapid fire, so they're totally random. Are you ready?
Hit me. Right. I'm ready.
Let's do this. I hope this is exciting. Right. What's the first word that comes to your mind right now?
Podcast.
I like it. Your favorite pizza topping?
Ham and mushroom.
If you could have
That's
one.
That's two.
Yeah, that is two. I'll let it go.
Go on. I say really fast. Ham and mushroom.
Hamshroom.
Hamshroom. One word.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To be able to see, to hear what people are thinking.
That is actually mine. 100%.
And then see through things as well.
Just
walls rather than clothes.
Yeah. Okay.
To be able to be like, literally, like,
yeah.
You speak to an investor. It's like, what are you thinking right now? I'd like to know that.
Get inside their head. I like it. Yes, I completely agree. I don't know if you have any time to watch TV, but are you binge watching anything right now?
Oh yeah, I've always got time for TV. Not as much as I'd like, and not as much as I used to watch. But I would say, do you have Homecoming over there? You heard of that?
No.
So Homecoming, first season with Julia Roberts, was about how this kind of corporation was kind of manipulating the way that the military was thinking, and they were brainwashing them to forget some of the bad things they'd done and so on. It's like a paranoid conspiracy show with Julia Roberts, and it was brilliant. Very sort of trying to think of the director, Steven Soderbergh. If you like Steven Soderbergh movies, kind of like that as a TV show. And apparently it started as a podcast and it was adapted into a show. Anyway, second season has just come out, and I thought it was going to fade because I don't see Julia Roberts, and it's amazing. It's absolutely brilliant. Only about 29, 25, 30-minute episodes. So very short, but very iconic. Sort of cinematography and great music, amazing kind of haunting music. And then what else? Oh, did you say TV shows or just TV in general? Movies? TV.
You can tell me what you're watching on films. Yeah, movies. Just so American now.
I'm going through a phase. Korean movies.
Oh.
South Korean movies. Spanish movies as well. Kind of just loving anything international. And then, what are the TV shows? Selling Sunset is you call that the guilty pleasure. So it's a bunch of very ridiculously attractive women selling real estate in LA.
I think I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it.
It's awful. It's absolute rubbish, but it's just when I don't want to think about anything and I'm zapped at the end of the day, that'll go on. And then another one was Too Hot to Handle, which you probably got over there.
Is that the island one?
Yeah, hot people on an island and then they tell them they can't have sex.
I heard about it, not seen it. Yeah,
absolute garbage. Watched every episode in 2 days.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I'm glad you've told us though that you have time to still do all of that and watch TV. That gives me hope.
Don't believe any entrepreneur who says they don't watch TV and they've got a minute to do that rubbish.
Good, because I'd struggle to give up my TV.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's media, you know. Maybe there's like documentaries. Come on, like there's some amazing documentaries.
Yes.
It's film. So you gotta. Yeah. Where do you watch that? Netflix or Amazon?
Yeah, Netflix, right?
TV, fine. Standard. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, if you could travel back or forward to any period in time, where would it be?
Brilliant question. Oh, I would say, there's so many. I'd use that frequently. So, okay, first one. I travel back to the last time, just before the last time that Liverpool Football Club won the league. Because it's been 30 years.
You don't have to tell me.
It's going to change this year. So, yeah, just before when Liverpool won the league, all the Everton fans and United fans have just stopped listening. Yeah. Sorry about that. They've turned off.
We don't want them anyways. No, come back, please.
Edit that one out.
Yeah.
It's never going to apply. Back to the Beatles. Any Beatles gig, not even a specific year. Like Shea Stadium was a big show, wasn't it? Cavern Club, like any Cavern Club show for the Beatles, or in fact any gig to see the Beatles. That's that's 2 back in times. A forward in time would be, let's say, when some, app or tech idea or something gets bought for $1 billion that I launched. That would be a good time to fast forward to. But apart from that, probably the main ones like music, football, business related. That's actually 3.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I like that. I found out you're a Liverpool fan and you rose in my list. So that's cool. Yeah. All right. So really quickly. Exactly. Okay. Real quick. Morning or evening person?
Evening.
Interesting. Pancakes.
Trying to be a morning person increasingly because I've got 2 kids who wake up about 6. Cold shower thing that gets you going. Trying to do that about 7. But it's hard. It's just I'm not a morning person. Whereas it gets to say 9, and my brain starts to wake up and I start getting really creative. And so last week I'm doing like 13-hour days with my startup, and then I'm doing all the podcast stuff and collaborating with another podcaster about getting an intro section for my podcast and YouTube videos. And then I started just like my brain couldn't sleep, and so I was thinking of like reactivating my YouTube channel with some cool content and how to collaborate with multiple people for that. And that's night. That's what happens at night. So switching off is really hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Which is probably why it's really hard to wake up the next day.
Yeah. You're in an infinite loop there.
Yeah, exactly. So what are you?
I'm a morning person.
You're a morning person. I'm a night owl.
100% a morning person. But saying that, I think about 9 o'clock, I do switch back on. So I have to be very careful because if I then start something around 9, I probably am going. It doesn't happen very often, but if my brain starts going, then I could be up to 12, 1 o'clock. I could be lying there and I'll be like, this is stupid. I just need to get all of these ideas out. So I have that. I'm not a midday person. I'm morning and night, but I have to be very careful about the evening so I can get some sleep, so I can get back up on time.
Do you meditate or do siestas?
So I've never been one for a nap ever. Although recently I've had the odd one, but not like on my normal sleep schedule, I'm pretty good. I get my 7.5 hours of sleep. and I don't need an app, but I have recently started to meditate because every single person says it's like the best thing ever. So
isn't it great that every so many people are saying that? It's like mental health has come a long way, hasn't it, in a very, very short space of time.
massively.
I think that's brilliant.
Yes.
That people, it's just a thing now. It's like Headspace or whatever. It's like, I don't care what you plug in. It's the fact that you're talking about mental health and meditation and so on. It's great. That's brilliant. That's exactly where we should be and continue to do it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think we got caught up, and obviously medicine is great, but if you can prevent things like that, or you have something as simple as 5 to 10 minutes a day of just switching off, then like, why wouldn't you do that? And I won't lie, everyone was like meditation, and I was like, yeah, fluffy, whatever. And actually what got me wasn't even mental health, which I know is really bad, but what got me is productivity. So I read a Chris Bailey book called Hyperfocus, and he talked about meditation before as well in the Productivity Project, I think, which is his first book. But he talks about, I guess it's what resonated with me, but it was more about how you can focus and how if just 5 to 10 minutes switching off brings that focus. And he talks about hyperfocus and scatter focus, and where scatter focus is more about being creative, whereas hyperfocus is more like deep work kind of thing. But that idea that you could improve your productivity because you could focus longer through meditation, I was like, right, that's it. 10 minutes, I can do 10 minutes a day. But actually, I do really enjoy it. So 2 things I started probably at the same time is journaling, like stream of consciousness journaling, just 5-minute thought download at the beginning of the day, followed by 5 minutes of meditation. And yeah, no, I just would never have expected it, but really, really enjoy it. And the great thing is it's 5 minutes each. So 10 minutes out of your entire 24 hours in a day is nothing.
If you feel in a day that is too much, that's exactly why you need to do it.
Yes.
That is like the symptom, because you're a rat racer, or you have no clue as far as time management goes or productivity and so on. It's if you and I've been there plenty of times where I'm like, I'm trying to look busy and trying to hustle, like trying to look like an entrepreneur rather than being an entrepreneur, and thinking rather than doing. And so many times I say, I haven't got time to meditate. No way. And it's weak. It's a week to sort of, it's like napping. It's weak. Sleeping weak. Sleep is for the weak. Rubbish. And so it was that was it's like changing your mindset to get stuck into that. Yeah. And realizing that when you say those kind of things like you have no time, it's probably because like we were talking about TV, you're watching too much TV, or you're wasting too much time in a day. And when that is literally the most important thing, you'll make time for it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You just hear where people think you're weak, and you like, how it's crazy that we've got to that point. But again, to your point, it's so nice to hear people trying to turn that on its head and go, something, you're not. Talking about what's going on in your head isn't weak. It's actually like a show of strength. Sleep is not for the weak. The second you start getting your 7.5 or 8 or whatever hours a day, you will naturally just feel better, and all of a sudden those hours are automatically more productive. Right? And meditation, it's not just like this woo-woo thing. It actually means something, and it will benefit you, and it's something that we should probably all do. Got 10 minutes to scroll on Facebook, you've got 10 minutes to shut your mind off.
I think it's exactly. And think about that. There's an app, I can't remember the name of the app, but I think on my Android, it's just it's in the update now, which is again great that it's been included. But it's essentially saying like it's allocating where you spend your time all day to at the end of the day, so you get a report and you look at the time you spent on social media, and you just kind of like,
scary.
It's scary,
really scary.
but that's the accountability. So then you think, Well, that was 5 hours. So what if I make it 4? I just claimed an hour back.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with the hour? Okay, 15 minutes. You can stretch it to 20 minutes for meditation.
Yeah.
So you've still got 40 minutes free. What are you going to do with that time? Maybe you have a nap for 30 minutes, still got 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So again, it's like reclaiming time because you know where it's being wasted. And I think that's having people analyze a lot of things, like how many followers you've got, your engagement on Twitter and all these kind of things, but they're not analyzing their life. They're not analyzing where like the time they're spending on things. So I think when you do that, you're more aware of what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and then kind of like readdressing the balance. And when you do that, you get to a point where you're less tired.
Yeah.
Because you're less exhausted because it's just, everything is, you have like, you hustle, but then you rest, and you know what I mean? Like it's, your energy level that's like I think one of the most important things is energy, like monitoring energy level, like what is causing me to be here and what is causing the camera. This is weird because the camera is like inverted. So it's on Zoom, it's the other way. Like I go this way, whatever. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. So that's why before when I was trying to
holding the book
hold
over
the book, why is it over here when it should be here? But yeah, monitoring energy level. And that comes to diet as well. Like you forget about that. What you're voluntarily putting in your body is affecting your level of energy. So then you start to become more conscious of that. I cut out, like I used to love sandwiches, like in England, it's like sandwiches, right? And beer. And I had to cut those out, which is heartbreaking. If you've ever gone gluten-free or become gluten-free, it's torture. Like it's the worst thing in the world. And then let's say 6 months to a year later, you're like, wow, there isn't a cloud, it's not kind of hazy thinking and a black cloud over my head today. I'm feeling very alert and I have more energy and to do things and be creative, and that's great. So diet's like huge.
So actually you've just touched on something there that I think is good for people to kind of grasp onto, in that I think people think, and whether it's the same with anything, but it's like, especially with building a business or building a brand and entrepreneurship, they think that things happen overnight almost. And if things aren't happening I guess you kind of got really lucky in your first one where things happened from start to finish in almost 2 months. But for the most part, it takes a lot of patience and grind and kind of, it's not going to happen overnight. It might take you 6 to 12 months. And a lot of people, I think, give up really early on and go, well someone else is doing it, and not kind of seeing the struggle. And when they see an overnight success, they don't see, the 5 years before that made them the overnight success. And
exactly.
I think, yeah.
Well, it's a classic entrepreneurial line, isn't it? It took me 10 years to become an overnight success. And the entrepreneurial, let's say, publications, they focus on the Silicon Valley unicorns that are getting, valued at $1 billion because they did a nice little sketch on a napkin and shoved it over the table to an investor and said, we're going to be the next Snapchat or something, which is ridiculous. It's totally crazy, some of the stuff that's going on just north of me, because I'm in San Diego, which is, I drove there, it's about 8 hours. It's not that far. But just, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy, some of the valuations you get out there. That's like I could do a whole podcast on that.
Okay, so my very last question / parting thought is, what does an entrepreneur or entrepreneurship mean to you?
So the first word that always comes into my head is risk taking. So just being a risk taker, but not being a gambler, but being a risk taker. So taking calculated risks, and just like living. One of the quotes I put in Blow It Up at the beginning is from a French tightrope walker called Philippe Petit, and he says, you have to kind of get the quote's actually on the wall there. Do you want me to read it? I don't want to read it all out, but it's my favorite quote. And I got the doorbell going in the background.
Yeah.
Absolute classic. But French tightrope walker, always live on a tightrope. Like that's the takeaway. And if you feel like you're doing something that's uncomfortable, you're in exactly the right place. Don't go back to where there's the safety net. Like you have to live on a tightrope and take calculated risks. That's being an entrepreneur. And then by doing that, you're essentially free and like free to express yourself and go get it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I very much like that thought. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. I can't believe we've been talking for nearly an hour. That has been amazing. David, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on and doing this with us. Guys, for anyone who's listening, firstly, go and check out Uberpunk. I know David sold it, but it's really cool and I really like it. And secondly, please go and get Blow It Up. It's on Amazon. I will share the link with everybody. David, you can put that book back up. Yeah, stick it there. That's the book you need.
I used to see that on TV. And I think that's the easiest thing. It's like trying to get it in ahead of the mic there.
That's a great shot. Perfect. That's what you need to get.
Go on social media, screen grab.
Hang on, let me do that. There you go. I got one.
Yeah. Thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, no, I need to order my book because, like I said, it takes you right from the idea, the ping in your head, right through to execution and then some. So, guys, go and check it out. If you want to check out more or stay up to date with Guardian Medical as well, and be sure to follow David on Twitter. He is at David J. Oh, I'm on the wrong side. David J. Lowe. Yeah, okay. Being a bit stupid there. Right, David J. Lowe, he is on Twitter, and that's where you can find him. David, once again, thank you so much. I really, really, really do appreciate it. It's been amazing.
Bob, thanks for having me on. I've loved the conversation. I think we were scheduled to do about 30 minutes and we're on about an hour. That always means I've enjoyed it and it's flown by. So thank you very much for being my first UK interviewer and press, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I will take that. That makes me sound quite special.
You can put that on your website.
Yeah, press.
David Lowe is first press in the UK. But yeah, thank you for your support and just for making me think and actually educating me. I know you mentioned there about there's quite a few things we've talked about, meditation stuff and books. One of the books I think you mentioned. I'm going to go back and actually watch this and
find it. I'll send you all the links afterwards. I'm great at reading books and then not doing anything about them.
But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for having me on. And anything else I can do to support, let me know. And thanks for everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you guys. Those that join live, those that are listening on the podcast afterwards, really appreciate it. Reviews or comments or feedback, send them my way. If you want to stay up to date, I'm also on Twitter, but you're probably more likely to find me on Instagram at Project Life Admin. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with another guest, same time. Well, actually, maybe 8 o'clock. We'll see. Same place, though. Different guest. Thank you, David. Everybody else, be well, be kind, stay safe, and stay curious. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.